Hi everyone. So ever since ChatGPT was launched like 2 years back, there's been lots of panic. I don't know, there have been lots of mixed emotions. Some are scared, we lose our jobs about Gen AI. There are lots of hopes. Companies are sprouting, funding. So many things are happening. I can say every single feeling has been felt by any developer ever since ChatGPT was launched and ever since this talk about Gen AI is getting mainstream. I myself have felt the same. And that is the reason I said, let me come share with you. Let's have this talk and let's see how to work with something like Amazon Q, especially as a developer. So let's move on then. The first thing, I choose a lazy person to do a hard work. And the main reason is just that the lazy person will find an easy way to do it. If you're a developer, I believe you would relate to this. Part of the reason we became developers is because we wanted to find a way to do things maybe faster, maybe automate certain things. That's probably the same reason why you're trying to use maybe serverless infrastructure, because you want to be able to do things faster and don't want to manually write every single line of code. So I believe every developer is always finding a way to do things faster, smarter, and to some extent, if we say that's the definition of a lazy person, then we can actually say we developers by Bill Gates are lazy and they need us to find ways to do things better. So, sorry, I didn't change the name here, but I'm Cyril Bandolo, not Ryan Jones. I was doing the slides quickly. So I'm Cyril Bandolo. I'm a machine learning hero. I'm also an authorized instructor, and I'm a serverless developer at Serverless Guru. So I know many people want to know how we become machine learning hero. That we can talk. It'll be a topic for another day. So the name is supposed to be Cyril Bandolo. I was having two talks today, so I had to quickly go through the slides to make sure I put this down for you guys. So let's go straight to the challenge developers face. So we developers, we currently face challenges of, okay, how can I improve my efficiency at work, for example? Again, it's linked to the fact that you want to be more efficient, more effective. You want to do more with less. So we are always thinking, how can I be a bit better? How can I do things even faster? And if be able to have time to debug, to review, to do certain other tasks that are part of our tasks to be done per day. Another thing is, how can I improve code quality? So we know if you have a code with poor quality, it's going to give you lots of headache down the line. So you want to make sure you write your code with so much quality that even if you come down the line 5 years or even somebody else takes on the code base, the person will be comfortable and be able to navigate through or continue working with what you've been working. Even yourself, you would want to review certain things you've been doing years back and continue from where you ended, not be lost. So we are always worried about how can we improve the quality of our code. Another challenge we face is how can we improve the collaboration we get from our peers, because remember, coding is a team sport. There's always that front end, there's always that back end guy, there's always that DevOps, there's always other people who work with you to build the applications that we see that are having lots of impacts in our lives out there. So there's always, how can I improve that collaboration? Because it's in that collaboration, it's in those microservices where maybe everybody's working on the component that you can best support with, that we come together and we have something very, very impactful. So how can we improve that collaboration within pairs is something that we are always thinking. And again, one thing that is always at the back of our mind is tech keeps changing, things keep improving. There are always new releases every single day. So the point is, how do we all keep the learning, and how do we keep the growth? How do we keep that development? How do we keep on that constant learning? That is always a challenge that developers face, and I believe most of you relate to these issues. Lots of things have evolved. And we know, if you were coding in the 1980s era, you know that was the pre-internet era. So there was no internet back then. And developers would rely mostly on the code reviews, on peers, on the team lead, and other colleagues, so that they can get help or support for their code and be able to grow their talent or improve the quality of their applications. So in 1980s, in the 80s and around that time, it would be, how can I collaborate better with my peers to get help or get support if I get stuck, to improve maybe the quality of my code or to improve my performance. Another thing is, when we move to 1990s now, we had Google, the search engine era, I could call that. So Bing, Google came up, so you could go in, ask a question, and get help from search engines for if you are stuck something you want to understand, or you want to learn, or you want to get more information, or you want to improve on the quality of your code or improve the efficiency. You could ask questions to Google or Bing also, and that is why at that time people had support from search engines as developers to improve the efficiency of their work. Then in 2008, community sites like Stack Overflow came about. And if you were a developer around that time, you would know that Stack Overflow was the go-to for any time you have any issue. If you are blocked, or you want to solve any problem, you have any conflict, or you doubt something, you go to Stack Overflow. And that was the community sites era. Now, where are we now? From 2022, like I said, when ChatGPT was launched, and right up till now, we are in the Gen AI era. And we have to accept the fact that most of what can help us now, or what people are using nowadays more and more, is using Gen AI to support them in some aspects of their coding. We don't know if that would take how much percentage of the work in future, but for now, we are in that era where lots of Gen AI is being used to support lots of the things that developers are doing. And it's something that we just need to accept it, because it's bound to change. We are bound to evolve. And right now, given that we are in 2022 as developers, we need to evolve as well and utilize what is currently being used in our era. And because we now have Gen AI enabled assistants, they have been trained using billions of parameters from the internet, from Wikipedia, from so many sources, have been put together, which has been learning from massive amounts of data. And it's able to create new contents that look like the original. It's able to create content that you feel like, okay, this looks like something written originally by maybe the original author, or whoever you thought was supposed to write something like this. It understands our language nuances. That's also the interesting thing, because somebody might use the word, this is crazy. Will it be positive? Will it be negative? It understands all those nuances. So that is why we are able to use natural language to get some results, and they are very effective. And Amazon Q, which I'm introducing to you, for those who have been on the fence, Amazon Q leverages Gen AI with all these trained from billions of parameters, giving you new content that looks just like the original, and then it understands even what you're trying to say, your intentions. Amazon Q leverages all this, and it's here like your AI assistant to help improve your efficiency in this modern era. So you have to accept that Amazon Q is your friend, and Amazon Q is your end-to-end assistance. So it helps you with tasks, your coding itself. Even when you want to test your code, in fact, your software development cycle, Amazon Q can support you through right from beginning to end very, very effectively. Another thing is that Amazon Q is built for security and privacy. So Amazon Q ensures that you have all the security you need for your applications. And there are times you might forget to take out maybe some code or some reference number, because while you were coding, you just wrote something for just a dummy, just to test and make sure an API is working or so, and then you forget to take it out. Amazon Q is there to help you to improve the security and privacy of your applications. And also, you have the Amazon Q, the Developer Pro, and the Amazon Q for Business. The difference is that when you're using just the free Amazon Q by default uses your data to train. But if you're using Amazon Q Developer Pro or you're using Amazon Q Business, be rest assured that Amazon Q doesn't use your data to train itself. What's the beauty of Amazon Q? As a developer, it comes to you where you are. So you're comfortable with the AWS Management Console. Yes, Q is in the AWS Management Console. So if you want to click there, click here, Q is still there for you to ask questions to Q, and Q would help provide you with support. You also have your command line. You can also bring Amazon Q to your command line if that's what you're comfortable with as a developer. If you're using VS Code like me, Q is in VS Code as well. Or if you're using JetBrains PyCharm, yes, Q is also in PyCharm. So you can always find Q in any of the places where you're already doing some development work. Now, what are the components of Q? There is the chat. So Q can help generate code from text. So your natural language, because it understands the nuances, like I said, you just need to ask a few questions to Q in English language or in your natural language, and you tell Q, this is what I want to build, and Q is going to generate that code for you just from your English, couple of sentences or phrases. There are times when you get a code base, maybe from somebody, and you want to understand what has been going on, what has the person been building. Q is there to help you out. So Q can get explanations for the code you have at hand for you. You just need to highlight the lines that you want Q to explain what the code is doing, and Q is going to explain the code to you. So that way you can situate yourself and continue from where maybe the other developer ended. You can also ask questions about coding to Q. So you might have a question that you want to ask, how do I maybe add a lambda or so to this function or so, or how do I add an S3 to this or DynamoDB. So this, again, Q is there to help you even through your questions, even about the coding, to improve the efficiency of your code. You also have the inline. So with inline, you're able to improve developer velocity with code suggestions. So Q can help suggest code for you so that you can just simply take the suggestions or click on next to get to a next suggestion, which is if it's more interesting for you. And then you use whatever suggestion Q has given, or you modify the suggestion to better suit what you're trying to do. So another thing too is that with Amazon Q, you can use it as an agent for your software development work, because Amazon Q has the ability to work across multiple files. So when I saw this, I said this was really very interesting, because it's not just looking at a single file where you take a single file and then you ask explanations of code around that file, or a couple of lines and you ask explanations or ask questions. Amazon Q is able to look at the entire project, which is, again, what I say is very interesting, because now it can look at all the different modules, maybe in your project, the whole folder, the whole project, and it's able to give you answers or support you based on everything that is in that project, not just a single file. So in that case, what you need to do is to use the what you see here, the /dev. And with the /dev, you're able to add a new functionality. So I can say, for example, I have this code, and maybe with my API gateway and Lambda, then I'm trying to ask Q, can you help me add DynamoDB to this code? So Q is going to go through the whole project, look at what you already have. Okay, you already have an API gateway. The next thing you have is a Lambda, and then what you want is to have a DynamoDB. So Q is going to tell you how to add DynamoDB, given the fact that you already have these other files here. So it's an agent for you in your software development work. So Q is really very, 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 very interesting in this part, and it's something that I'm hoping that developers would want to try out, would want to experiment and play with, to see how to use all the different files in your code to get suggestions. So let's move on then. Now, I just want to show you a quick demo of all this that we are talking, and how you can add Q to your VS Code, especially as a more comfortable VS Code, how you can add Q to your VS Code, and also how you can see all these things in play. So let's go on with the demo. So you can always go to VS Code, you install Amazon Q, just as you see, you add it to your project, and you also make sure that, yes, you have your builder's account, you've done that. Now you can tell Q to explain a selected section of code. As you see, Q is explaining what that code is doing, explaining line by line, and even summarizing it for you. As well as, you can also ask Q, okay, how can I improve this code? So Q2 is going to go in, look at the code, and tell you some things you can add. As you can see, things like error handling, use type hints, refactor for usability. So it's going to propose how you can improve your code just by asking for its help. And then now you can even say, okay, propose me the codes. I mean, you've told me what to do, but I want you to actually do them and show me so I can take a look at that. So Q is actually proposing you the codes. So as you can see there, Q is showing you, okay, this is what you need to do, and explaining at the end what it did to improve on it. And as you can see, the dev is now supposed to analyze every single file in your application. So this usually takes long because it has to go through everything, every single file, and be able to give you, like, add an API gateway as a front end to this application, for example. So it usually takes long for it to be done. So that's what Q does. And if I have to put everything together, so Amazon Q helps you. It unites all your data sources. So you have more than 40 data sources and counting, because remember, we are heading towards reInvent. And usually in reInvent, there will be more functionalities that will be launched. So there will be even more than 40 sources, which I believe would be added to this. So your data is in Slack, it's in a DynamoDB table, it's in your SQL server, wherever it is. You can link that to your Q. Q is available wherever you are. So if you're more comfortable with the console, Q is there with you in the console. You can use Q in the console if that's what you want to use Q, where you want to work with Q. As you've seen in the demo, you can use Q in your IDE, PyCharm, VS Code. We also saw that if you want to use Q in the in your command line, you can use it with your command line. So Q is everywhere a developer is currently working. Now, a last thing is that, a third thing is that Q is integrated with other AWS services. So other AWS services like QuickSight. If you're using QuickSight, you would know that there is the generative BI, where QuickSight can help do summary can even create charts for you, can summarize the charts, create executive summaries for you. So Q is what is working under the hood in these services. And then you also have Connect. So Q helps with Connect, because Connect is like when you have a call center and then your agents are making calls to clients and customers are giving the reasons for their calls. So Q can be able to analyze all of that and inform you that, okay, this is the pattern that I'm seeing with these calls, or this is what the customers are requesting. Also, another thing that Q does is that it's a reliable coding assistant for you, and it can help you with your security, scanning, correctness. So here is the link for Amazon Q. You can take a look at that, and I hope you start building with Q right away. So that's all I had for you. Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Cyril. That was fantastic. That was a introduction to Amazon Q for the Discerning dev. I'm just going to go through the comments to see if there are any questions or anything like that. We had Daryl come in and say, thanks for giving us your time today, Cyril. They've been using Q as well, and it saved them some time on looking at details, which is cool. We do seem to have a question here from Buff Tomato. Are there any industries already using Gen AI for their use cases, Cyril, if you know any?
Okay, if there are any industries already using Gen AI for their use cases, yes, there are lots of use cases. I spoke with one AWS hero during the Hero Summit. He talked about they using Gen AI for car sales. So they have people who post cars, like, okay, these are images of cars for rents or for purchase, but they are not allowed to put their phone numbers, so they should not be contacted directly by the clients online. So the company, which is the broker, has to talk, get in contact with the clients and give them their fee. So some of them put numbers in different places in the photos, which confuses the traditional machine learning algorithms. So they had to use Gen AI, no matter where the number is found, if it's on the left or on the right or by the windshield of the car or wherever you try to hide the number, Gen AI is going to fish out that number and say, here is a phone number in this image sent by the vendor or the person renting out the car. So there are lots of interesting use cases that people are using Gen AI out there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Wow.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Cyril. I'm not seeing any other questions right now. I appreciate anyone who came out here around 7 in the morning if you're on the West Coast like I am, or if you're more around where Cyril is. I hope you enjoyed a nice afternoon talk. And if there are any questions, comments, or anything like that, you know where to find Cyril. You can find him on LinkedIn and on Twitter. I think Twitter it's Bandolo Cyril, and then on LinkedIn it's Cyril Bandolo. So it's I think it's
reversed. Yeah,
reversed. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to message him out there. And we hope to see you again on another stream soon, Cyril. This was great having you, and it's always a pleasure being able to talk and see you whenever I can.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to share. Anytime I'm available. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you
Because
so much.
I believe in serverless too.
We believe.
Yeah, we believe in serverless. We all believe in serverless, right?
And thank you to you too, David.
We believe in serverless and machine learning.
And machine learning, exactly. Cyril's an AWS Machine Learning Hero, guys. Don't call him a data hero or any of the things I've called him in the past, or like that. He's his own thing, all right? And he believes in serverless too. Perfect. Thanks, Cyril. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.